Let's talk a little bit about your work. I have 4 works that I liked for this question.
Yes, alright.
Well, it's Washing My Bra. It's a video from 2017. Then Social Experiment from 2016. Connecting with Pasta. Beautiful. And About the Elderly. Can you please explain somehow what made you do this? Experiences, stories, reaction of audience, reaction, and how you communicate and work with your other performers, something like that.
Well, you said it all, I think.
In 3 minutes.
In 3 minutes, starting now? Alright. I think 4 works you mentioned are coming from a very personal and intuitive research and personal fascination. About the elderly comes from a very early age, and the fascination I had for elderly people, which I still have. And yeah, it's about also sharing stories. It's about sharing who I am, and getting these stories out of my system, and for people to also experience them. And Washing My Bra, it's the latest work from all, and it's more from a personal, it's very personal, very intimate work, and it's about me reflecting on myself and how much time sometimes I lack for myself. So I see this action, which is very simple action of someone washing their bra, and I see it as a sign of taking care for myself and dedicating time for myself, which sometimes I don't do, and it's very important. The social experiment was very amazing, and I see it as an ongoing project. It's still there. Actually, yesterday I was talking with someone about it as well. It's something that it's sprouted, and it can be flowered. It could give flower any moment, any time of the year. I see it as a research, because depending on the culture where it's been done, it will be different, because people react different. I don't work with performers. The people that are doing the experiment are people who want to participate, so more maybe participators would be better. Yeah, it's about getting in contact with yourself, but also how to relate to the others. So how much, I mean, this work began as my realization of how little contact there is in Europe, or at least in England and in the cultures where I lived, in England and the Netherlands, how less physical contact there is. There is very little hugging and very little kissing. And then, yeah, how this was a sparkle for me to start researching into how people relate, and how comfortable do you feel when someone starts touching you or touching your hair. And in each culture is different. I managed to do this in the Netherlands, and I did it in Uganda, and I did it in Argentina. And in Argentina, everyone was full speed going for it, because it's such a normal thing to do for us. So I would say that the works you mentioned, and I would say like the pasta experiment, it's also related to this in a way that is about your own experience. And yeah, it's about creating experience and creating memories and sharing memories, and your direct contact with something, which I sometimes feel is lacking a bit, and it's so important in the now. Yeah.
I have a different question, but still it's related to your life. Can Can you tell me what the most beautiful sound is for you?
Ah, wow. Most beautiful sound. I think the most beautiful sound is when you are in a park and it's very quiet and you hear just, it's kind of like silence, but it's also nature sounds. So maybe you hear some ducks or the wind and water. Yeah, like quietness in a sound.
I saw your performance was counting 1 kilo of Suriname rice in 5 hours.
Yes.
These were 10,000 grains. Please tell me your experience and the story around that.
Wow, this was amazing. It was really great. So this was something that came after the idea of struggle. So I had to create something inspired by struggle. And I sometimes could be it could be very hard for me to focus and to be doing something for a very long time. So I set this task for myself. Okay, how much grains are in 1 kilo of rice? I don't know, let's find out. So I did it, and it was much more about, it was much more than only counting rice, because I also kept pen and paper. And because I was doing this meditative action, I was really focused on counting. A lot of ideas came in that moment while I was doing it. So I wrote a lot, and I found that this type of activities, at least for me, is very fruitful, because it's kind of emptying my mind and for new things or answers to problems, but mostly ideas come to me in this type of moments. So after this work, I developed another work, which were bags of rice, which are this size, which are kits for people to do the counting the rice themselves. So it's not so much as what I did. It will probably take you around 1 to 2 hours, but it's like a free sample of the experience I had, and which I also believe is very fruitful and could be very valuable for someone else. So yeah, I will give you one. I will get them, I had them in a shop actually, they were selling them, and I will give them back I will get them back next week, and I will give you one because I think you will appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Well, can you just tell me in general, even it's very private, but how do you create your work? How do you compose your work? Because somehow you are a composer, right? What is important for you to have in your work so that it can go out and not just stay in your studio or in your mind?
Okay, those are a lot of questions. I will try to answer. I think, what do I need to create? I think any situation is valid for me to create. There is this conception or this idea of, I do have a studio, so I go mostly every day there, and I have my table, and it's a place where I feel safe. I have my plants and my typewriter and books and paper and everything for me to feel safe to create and to reflect and to go back to works. But I also, it's about me living actually, because I don't know, like the other day I was having a conversation with someone and we were talking about the moon, and then the moon became like a topic and very present in my work in these last weeks. And I'm very aware of the moon and when it's full moon, and then I write about it and then I make a poem, and everything started because of a simple conversation, you know? So it's not that it's like an on and on switch, it's a constant, and probably out of this moment together something will come out, but it's like something that is brewing, and I think I'm very much in contact with this part and aware of it, so that's why I can also load myself with information and inspiration, and then when I feel like deliver it in my work. But you also ask what it has to have for it to be public, and that's something actually quite complex, because I usually have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas, and less, I would say half of them I get to do them, but after I do them the excitement is kind of over, and I don't usually the excitement is over. I did it, it's done, I took it out of my system, but there is a gap in between what I did and what I show. I have a lot of things I didn't show, and I did them for myself, which I don't consider them like good enough or meaningful enough. But yeah, I should think about that. Maybe I'm very exigent with myself or with my work, and because I've been also changing the topics of my work, and they're also personal, very personal, and also it's not something you would immediately recognize as art per se. It's also quite complex for me to really accept that and bring it into my work. So it's still something I have to find peace among myself, I would say.
Okay, well, let's come to this year. This year was until now, until today, until this hour, very important for you, especially because you went to the United States to visit Naya Farabas. She is a Fluxus artist. She still is. She's 86 years old, and you visited her in Brattleboro in Vermont, and you met her for 3 days to have interesting long talks and even a long ongoing interview. Please, a short review.
About this experience?
Yeah.
Well, this was very amazing. Another amazing experience I could experience myself. This is because, all of this was because I was with Bartold, one of my tutors and teachers in Minerva. We were both organizing one of the exhibitions that was part of the Artist Book Week in Groningen, and we came about her work, and he knew her, but he wasn't sure like where was she at this moment, and was she still alive or what she was doing. There was so little work about her, so he proposed me to do some research about her and maybe find her and ask her if she would like to contribute more works for the exhibition. So then we found out that she was living in Brattleboro, and that she had recently, over a few years ago, did a 50 years retrospective in a gallery. And there is one video of her in the internet, and this video is beautiful. It's her talking about her work, and you knew her, so you met her. And then we were both really excited, and then I found a phone number in the internet, and I said, well, I could try and call her. So I put some credit on my Skype account, and I called her, and she answered. So it is really crazy. It was really amazing. So well, I introduced myself and tell her about our ideas, and she was really, excited and happy to be part of this exhibition. So then she put me in contact with her gallerist, with Adam, and then we tried to bring them to the Netherlands, but I couldn't get funding for them to come. So then by the same period, there was this funding application for students. So I applied for that because I thought, well, if I cannot bring the mountain, I will go to the mountain myself. So I went to the mountain and I got the money, and I could also link it to my research for my thesis. Yeah, going to New York was a big dream of mine as well. So I could go there and visit them. They hosted me in their house, Adam and his wife, and I could meet her for those days, and then end up doing an interview with her, which was wonderful. And it's now on the internet, in YouTube. You can check it out, and I think it's a great way of getting to know her as an artist and as a person, because her story is really amazing. She was really part of the Fluxus artists in the 60s in the American scene, and after 10 years of being married with Geoffrey Hendricks, they divorced, and she decided to move out of this scene and become a mother and be very devoted to her children. And she never stopped doing art, but because she retrieved herself from the artist scene, she's not as famous or well known as her husband or Yoko Ono, Karoli Szyman. She was working together with all these artists and traveling and everything. But because she didn't pursue this career, then no one really knows her as she should. So then in the end they financed their trip to the Netherlands, and we had them here, and she came to the exhibition, and she gave a lecture of her work, and she even did a performance. And yeah, it was fantastic. She's such a wonderful person, and I'm so grateful. I really feel she's like my American grandma, and we connect so well, and we really love each other. So amazing.
Well, in general, you wrote about that. This United States trip, especially to New York, opened your horizons, brought a lot of joy and inspiration to you as a person, but also to you in your work. Can you explain that?
Yes. Well, while I was in New York as well, I visited a lot of museums and galleries, and yeah, I was doing also a bit of research about what do these institutions provide to the audience, even though they are big tourist attractions. Yeah, what kind of activities do they have to engage with their community, their immediate environment? So I met some people, and I met some owners of the galleries that I had very interesting conversations with. And this really, yeah, I really gave me a lot of enthusiasm and energy to have my own place, and to, for example, I visited a space which is called Grace Exhibition Space, which is some sort of community for performance art. And they used to have hosted in an apartment, very underground, very themselves. People would host residencies and shows, but very really like independent, and just for the sake of their practice and the love of performance. And when I was there, they moved to a new location, and I went there, and everyone knew each other, and there was this sense of like a big family, you know. And there was this woman who has been performing for 50 years, performing next to someone who was her first performance, and this really beautiful exchange of information and experiences. And yeah, and I also was confronted to 2 exhibitions of Chinese art, which really blew my mind, and I really felt, and I still feel, that my next step is in China, and that I should go to China to learn and to experience how these people think and how do they work.
Well, do you have some special memories about Brooklyn?
About Brooklyn, yeah. I went a few times there. Brooklyn is huge. I remember I visited one day Bushwick, which is an area in Brooklyn, which is quite a growing area because, well, having a gallery in New York, in the city of New York, is really, really expensive, and it also has a lot of connotations, and more people are moving to Brooklyn because it's less expensive and it's becoming trendier and it's more known as the underground scene of New York. But Bushwick in particular, it is quite an industrial area, but there are a lot of artist-run spaces and a lot of abandoned factories, so therefore there are a lot of graffitis and cafes and la la la. And I remember I went there one day and it was raining, and I was so happy and just to be walking under the rain and being there, really connected to what I love, and getting to know people and visiting places, and it was one of the best days in America actually, and really connected to my purpose as an artist and what I want to do in my life.
Good. Well, you once told me that you love really much to work and to experiment with contact improvisation. Well, there you are faced with space, with time, with movement, well, with contact, with sound and improvisation. How do you understand improvisation in this context, and also the contact in between? What's going on there for you?
I love it very much. I love improvisation in general, I would say. I think it's very... it comes very natural, and it comes very intuitive as well. And while contact improvisation is some sort of dance, or it could be dance, I think you're referring to this practice. And it's about letting yourself go and really being connected with your emotions and your body and movement. And I think it's something which I a bit lack sometimes in my life and in general, and it also is related to what we were talking before about the social experiment, this lack of contact among people and lack of like hugs and contact. And I found in this contact improv a space to really release this. And for me, I close my eyes and I'm there, and I'm like a whole new universe create, and it's a different way of connecting with people, of communicating with people, of getting to know a person by this dance. And it's really amazing because there is no language, it's just body language, and it's about also feeling their energy. And it's really amazing how with some people really can dance and connect, and with some people it's just so like no, maybe not, like no, it's really wow. So I really love it, really love it.
Good. Well, one of my last questions is how do you understand beauty? What is beauty for you?
There are a lot of things which are very beautiful. I think beauty is about being awake and being in contact with your surroundings, and I understand beauty as something which is that I think I have a few definitions for beauty, but it's also about intuitiveness, and when someone is really in contact with themselves and they are doing something which is a very honest is beautiful. I would say that's what I meant, like, and putting effort and time and when you really are there, then the outcome, it will be beautiful. And beautiful can be just putting a plant in an empty room or in an empty table to liven it up, or putting some time to do your hair, and then you have a bit of something different. And yeah.
Okay, well, how does a general day look like in your life?
I would wake up around 8. I write, I meditate, I have breakfast, sometimes I shower before breakfast, and I would go to my studio, work, read, encounter people, eat, keep working, keep reading, usually have a meeting or something. And then I either work in the evenings or I keep doing things, and when I'm not working, it means I'm quite tired because I've been working, so I usually try also to take some rest and cook something and have a quiet evening, either reading or watching a movie or meeting with friends.
And can you tell me, who are you in private when there is no art around you? When there's no work around, no study around? Do you have a different life then?
Yeah, I listen to Justin Bieber a lot. Yeah, there is some sort of pop teenage Lola coming up. Yeah, but it's really hard. I mean, it's almost impossible to separate. I wouldn't say, like, I have this thing that sometimes in the evening I'm so tired of the whole day doing and reading and talking about art, and I just want to I have this feeling of, I want to put my mind in water, or going into a very cold pool. Like, I just don't want to do anything related to art. And then I open my laptop and I say, I'm going to watch a series or something, and then I think, oh, but I could watch a TED talk about art and education. And it's like, Lola, not just do anything but art. And then I watch maybe How I Met Your Mother or Modern Family, and that really gives me a breath of fresh air. But it's really hard for me to separate this, and yeah, I try not to fight it as well and really go with how I feel. If I feel like listening to Justin Bieber, then do it, and if I feel like keep reading about art and museums, then do it as well. So yeah, I think there is not such a hidden Lola, I would say, except from when I listen to Justin Bieber.
Well, just imagine you would have children around in your life, or students who are attracted to you. What advice could you give them? Like how to understand life, how to study, how to go forward to reach something what maybe you reached already.
I would say it's really important to be in contact with themselves and allow time for themselves to do whatever they want. If they want to sleep, if they want to read, or if they want to be in nature, but just allow time for yourself to be and to slow down and to do nothing. And doing nothing, it's also proactive, productive. And also to not fight yourself, I would say, and accept who you are. Sometimes it's really hard to understand yourself, but just try to be in peace with that, and then it's not so difficult anymore if you stop fighting it.
And I have to say thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Yeah.
Just stay.
Yeah? Okay, I'll give you a hug. Oh, well, thank you as well. Really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.